Newtown local council operates a maintenance department that repairs all the council office buildings. Following a recent report from the health and safety inspector, which cost the council 50K, the council is required to replace its existing wall insulation material. The council has accepted all the recommendations of the report and now needs to decide whether to carry out this maintenance work themselves or to subcontract the work to a local business. The total cost of subcontracting the work, including all labor, material, and other cost, is 110,000. So they must have approached a local firm and would have done some survey and then given them a quotation of 110,000. This is option A. Option B is if the council decides to do the work themselves. Of the following cost needs to be considered. So then we have a list of costs, and then we need to decide if a cost is relevant or not relevant. Some insulation material is already in stock and was originally purchased for 20,000. This 20,000 is a cost in the past. It's already been purchased. It's a past tense. So this 20,000, this gives us the clue that this 20,000 is not relevant because it's the past tense. So it's a sunk cost. The maintenance department uses this insulation material on other jobs and therefore will need to replace the full amount used at a cost of 22,000. So if you think about the decision tree on the material, the first question is if the material is in stock, yes. And then there are two options, if the material is in regular use or not. So this material is in regular use. That means the replacement cost of the future replacement cost is the relevant cost. So if you have to pick one figure from 20 and 22, you should pick 22,000. Additional material of 15,000 will be required. The word additional is your clue. It's an incremental, additional, marginal, so 15,000 is also relevant. There's also an additional cost. Again, additional, the word is a clue, of disposal of waste 400,000. So that's extra cost, which is relevant. The work will require 600 hours of skilled labor and 800 hours of unskilled labor from continuous workforce. Skilled labor is paid £15 per hour and unskilled paid £10 per hour. Now we have information on skilled staff. These staffs are currently fully employed, no idle time. However, it is estimated that 400 hours could be found by not proceeding with an external job. This external job would generate £25 contribution per skilled labor hour. Opportunity cost. So we will arrange 400 hours by not doing a job. So we'll pay our labor 400 hours times 15 plus 400 hours of contribution loss, that's times 25. And then the other 200 hours could be found by paying overtime to existing skilled staff at 1.5 times their normal rate. So it's 400 hours at normal rate of £15 and 200 hours of overtime rate, which is 1.5 times their original 22.5 pounds per hour. Unskilled staff, these staffs are currently underutilized and if not engaged on this maintenance work would be laid off and paid 65% of their normal rate. Okay, so using staff or not using staff, two options. Option one is don't make them work, don't accept the project, don't do it in-house, and let them know we will only pay them 65% of their normal rate. The rate is £10 per hour. £10 per hour, and we'll pay them 65%, which is £6.50 per hour. So if you don't do the job in-house, we'll pay them $6.50. If you do the job, we'll pay them full-time, full money, £10. So the extra incremental bit is relevant. Next point is the installation of the new insulation material will require 30 staff to attend a one-day training course on insulation safety procedures. It is now council policy for all 30 staff to attend the training course, whether the maintenance work is undertaken by the council or subcontracted. Staff will attend the course in groups of 3 at a cost of $750 for all 3 staff. We are going to do this course in both cases. We do the job or if you don't do the job. So it's not relevant. It's not an incremental cost. If the council undertakes this work, a part-time project manager will need to be employed at a cost of $20,000, and other additional costs are estimated at $25,000. Additional is your clue, which is relevant. Calculate the relevant cost of the council of undertaking the maintenance work themselves and advise them based on the cost information whether the council should undertake the work or subcontract it. So I'm going to have a column for relevant and non-relevant cost. So starting with, again, I'll start from the top of the question. The first cost we see is $50,000, which is inspection cost. And it's because it's past, that's our clue. So we call it not relevant. The second cost we saw is $110,000, but that is for option A. We are not taking that into account. That is our comparative. Then in-house, the council decides to do the work themselves. The first cost we see is $20,000. So I call it original cost. And because it's past cost, I call it not relevant. Sunk cost. You can call it full as of material, actually, just to be very comprehensive. And then we have a replacement cost of material, $22,000. So this is our first relevant cost in this scenario. Next point is additional material of $15,000 will be required. So additional material, $15,000, relevant. Disposal cost, $4,000, relevant. So basically, if we carry out the work ourselves, we do the job, and there's always a skip required, which would require 4,000 pounds cost. The work will require 600 hours of skilled labor. So here I'll use a heading now, skilled labor now. And for that, we have some working to do. Okay, so the situation is that we don't have any labor available. So what are we going to do? We're going to take away 400 hours by not doing a job. And the cost per hour is £15. For these 400 hours, we will have an opportunity cost. And the opportunity cost is £25. So if they work on this job, they will not be doing another job, and we will be losing £25 per hour on that job. So that is relevant in that case. So this is the total cost of using those 400 hours. The rest of the 200 hours, we ask our labor to work overtime, and this will cost us 1.5 times of our normal rate, £15. So it's actually 22.5. So these are the relevant costs. $800 times, we will pay them £10 if they work on the job, and if you don't do the job, we will pay them $6.50. So the difference is incremental cost. It's incremental cost. We have two options here. Use the labor, don't use the labor. If you don't use the labor, we pay them $6.50. If you use the labor, we pay them $10. So relevant costs in principle, which we discussed in the lecture, are different than the other costing principles. So we only take into account the difference between option A and option B. So option A has 10, option B has $6.50. So the difference between them is $3.50. The next item on the list is training cost. We have discussed that we are going to pay this in either cases, so we will just ignore this cost. We call it irrelevant training cost as not relevant. You can calculate it, although we don't really need to calculate it. There are 30 staff, $7.50 for 3, so times 30 divided by 3. Don't really need to calculate this cost. Next item is part-time project manager. The cost is relevant because it's incremental cost. We can avoid it if we don't go ahead with the project. And additional cost, 25. $25,000. So the total cost is $109,300. So that's in-house. Outsourcing, $110. Cost saving, very small amount, £700. So I think decision should not be based on financials, but on other factors which could be relevant, because it's a very small number. If you get it done from an outsourcing firm, from a specialist firm, we will get a high quality work because they do this all the time. So they will know how to do it, and they could do it even quicker, maybe, and with the better quality. That is the biggest advantage. If somebody else is doing this job, then the management can focus on other issues, so they don't have to worry about this job. So that is a potential benefit in this area. However, if they don't do it in-house, then what's the point of having staff hired? In-house, there are people who are available to work. They're not doing anything. So should we just let them be like that, or should we just use them? So this could help in making staff busy, maybe help them to do things, and then they could get some job satisfaction because they're actually accomplishing something rather than just sitting and getting their salaries